we had as Tana Kenya. We have a great discussion this afternoon. As we all know, 28th of this month is World Menstruation Day. And the theme is making menstruation a normal fact of life by Vision 23rd. So we are here to discuss some of the ways that we can make this be a normal fact of life by Vision 23rd. As you can see, I have so many panelists with me. We are going to have a very engaging and beautiful discussion this afternoon. How are you doing, guys?
We are fine.
Mnajua the event that's ahead of us this month.
Yes.
So my first question, have you ever had of sex for pads?
Yes.
Yeah, I have.
You have had of sex for pads. Okay, tell us more about it.
Actually, sex for fun is something that has been going on.
Yeah.
More so in Nyando, it is something that is actually happening in schools, and it can be had from point of view from the school girls. Some of them get out of school or don't even go back to school because of these things. They lack pads, and at a point inafanya wa obe motorbikes, watu wa motorbike pads, alafu at the end of the day wanapata ball, wanakosa kwenda shule. So that's generally chenye wao wanafanya huko shule.
Right. You heard of it?
Yes. To build on what my colleague has just talked about, she has mentioned the issue of the adolescent girls involving in sexual activities with border guys, some border guys. My point is also they may as well involve fishermen for sexual activity in return to have sanitary towel. Yes, and as I had some discussion previously, this thing is contributed by poverty index in some of these areas. Yes.
Okay, so like poverty contributes a lot to it.
Yes.
Okay, another view. Who else? Okay, Ken.
Yes, I also support it. I support the motion. I think about 2 weeks ago we had a discussion at Memorial Beach where the topic was sex for fish, and they call them self-educable. Yeah, so they say they exchange fish for sex, right? So you find that a woman has come to the beach maybe to have some fish, amount to buy fish, kwenda kuuza, sindio? And then now she is not having enough money to purchase this fish, amount of fish. So the guy comes or yeye mwenyewe anamwambia like why don't you do this? I can give you fish for free, and then later on you pay with something else like an exchange of sex. So it is something that is happening mostly here in Ireland. It's happening. We have witnessed, and there are some who have accepted that it's happening.
Okay, another view. Who else has ever had of sex for pads?
It seems Marion has something.
Mariam.
I've never had it.
Never had of sex for pads. It's so strange to you. It's strange.
But it happens.
Okay, like in the records, it said that during the period of coronavirus, when the schools were closed down, there's always a program whereby the government gives pass to the students. But now for 9 months, the pupils were not in schools. So where were they getting the pads? So in areas like Kilifi and Kibra, there were young girls who are sleeping with motorists so that they can get the pad, because as we said earlier, it's caused by poverty. So imagine they're not going to school, they're not getting the free pads, they're now at home, so that they have to use other means to get the pads. Also, mostly in the western part of Kenya, there's that transaction of sex for pads. So it's something that exists in the society today. So what do you think? Like, why should a man take advantage of nature? What needs to be done as we aim at making this a normal fact of life, what can be done so that this sex for past thing can come to an end? What's your view about that?
To start off, number one question that we have to ask ourselves is that there is always budget allocation for sanitary towels in primary, in learning institutions, and that is in primary and secondary school, government secondary schools, right? So, according to the report, we are told that in those areas, for the period that schools were closed, these adolescent girls were not accessing sanitary towels. Now the question is, and just to hold the government responsible, where is that budget allocation, that money that was supposed to procure sanitary towels? And if that amount is there, amount of money is there, why did these girls be given these commodities when they opened school? You see. Again, back to the question, why should men take advantage of nature? Well, an adolescent girl who is very vulnerable, mwenye amefika, let's say 15, 16, you find that in class 6, okay, anafunzwa about reproductive health. In high school, the biological terms and the rest. And also from the influence from her age mates. Maybe mtu ashaonja sex kidogo akajua utamu iko wapi. Unaona? So the friend anaenda kumwambia, like, you've never tried this. Mimi niki have sex, I do feel rejuvenated. No. So this lady anataka feel what the friend feels. And maybe anaambiwa that the friend tells her that mimi nili have sex na John na akanipatia 300 by the end of it. Na huyu msichana labda pia amesota. Unaona? She needs that 300 shillings na anataka pia feel that feeling. Unaona? So it is kind of maybe an advantageous to some men that kwa Kijaluo inasemekana gimarutho kelo okana wewe ndio. Yeah, so mtu anaona like maybe hajaoa. Unaona? The man is not married. Na maybe akona inaitwaje dry spell. Na ku-approach age mate wake who is a lady labda ni ngumu. Unaona? So maybe anaona like she can easily entice this young lady na 300. Unaona? Na afanye apate like kushughulikiwa like this man yes. Yeah, unaona? So like it's not somehow taking advantage of nature, but also pia saa zingine pia yeah. Though I beg to be corrected.
On that point, what do you think about that? Rolly, you had something to say.
Actually, I had something to say. Thank you so much. And for this discussion, to me, it's very prudent to discuss these matters ambazo wasichana wetu wanapitia sana sana. Nitaenda kuangazia kile ambacho mwenzangu ndugu yangu kutoka kule kwetu huko
Shivaravandi
huko ameeleza kwamba ufukara poverty index imefanya nini, na sasa inachangia sana haswa au wasichana wajihusishe haswa na maneno lakini ya ngono na mapema ili waweze kufanya nini, kujistawishi kimaisha, si ndio? Kila ambacho inafaa like serikali yetu ifanye haswa ni kuhakikisha kwamba like wameweza kuelimisha hawa wanadada na wakuwe kipaumbele ili okay, to come up with some campaigns like kupinga hii sex for birds.
Yeah.
And again, I'm also happy for the organizations like ambazo zime rise up, zimekuja zikapinga hii sex for birds, like kama organization kama Stada ambayo imesimama sana kidete kupinga huyu swala la sex for birds. So sina mengi, nimefurahi sana.
Christine.
I think this story of sex for fun inaleta backward mentality ni watu most wako nayo. Sitasema men peke yake. Juu hadi kuna mademu wenye wanaonanga menstruation is such a ni kitu kubwa ni ufai tu kusema mbele ya watu. So akisikia anataka tu sex peke yake, simpei anything else, ni sex a few minutes and I'm done, ananipea pass peke yake, anakubali. Pia ukihave sex na mtu au wewe ukitangaza ati ili have sex na nini. So wanaona ati menstruation ni wako na hii backward mentality.
It's like an anchor.
So kitu yenye wanafaa waambiwe ama wafundishwe ni ati menstruation si something yenye iko behind closed doors.
So basically, when we say menstruation and sex for parts, basically we should first ask ourselves how much is a part?
Yeah, sure.
How available is it? So basically, it's just let's say it's culture, how we've been brought up. So you can find in most houses nowadays in Kenya, they have electricity, they have TVs at their homes, they have fridge, and it's almost at 50% houses. You'll find they have a solar, which they pay almost like 50 shillings per day. Yet, she has a girl who will only need a pad of, is it roughly 50 bob? 50 bob. Yeah, so 50 bob for almost, let's say it's 100 per month. So it's just that not being concerned. It's how the parents were brought up. They were not brought up with that mentality that this is a job. Like us as men, you have a problem, it's easier to approach your dad. So you see, your sister can't approach your dad on parts. She was not brought up that way. She was brought up to liaise with the mom. It's the mom who do everything. So in families where there is no mom, it somehow is difficult.
Yes.
2, how available or how are these people aware of parts? Are the ladies, all of them, aware they are parts? Or some are still using the traditional means? So if a lady hasn't used pads until in secondary, so how when you go class 1 up to class 8, are they aware of the pads? So it's that age tunafaa kufanyia sensitization ndio the entire change it comes from now. Because us, we can push as long as to society will accept. But if the little generation coming up cannot come up knowing that she has a sister, he has a brother, and if she needs a pad, even her brother can be there to get her one. Yes.
So I think maybe before, so to build on what Collins has just talked about, pushing for this agenda, I will find that Kisumu County is expanding, and majority are within the town part of it. Okay, so we find that, like for example, in Kisumu Central, majority know about birds, but when you come to the rural sides, like in other sub counties like Nyando, Muroni, Kisumu West, you find that bado kuna hizi challenges. Like in case a lady knows what a pad is, then on the other hand, she has a challenge on how to use it. You see, because maybe atakuwa nayo, but how to place it kwa panty is a challenge. Who will she approach? Kama hana mama, kama hana auntie, and maybe the CHV in that community does not take that obligation to teach them how to use pads.
Okay. Marion made something.
Oh, on the issue of sex for fun, I think at times people engage in sex for fun because of the negligence of the parents. At times when a girl reaches a certain age, the parent starts neglecting the girl. The parent doesn't provide for parts, and I don't mind aunts getting engaging in sex for parts. Yeah, so I think parents should engage their children more, talk to their children, ask for their needs. Yeah, it's not always poverty, it's at times negligence from the parent, on the side of the parents.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I see you are going somewhere very, very well. So what's happening? You guys, you're talking about parents, you know. And the major issue here, let me just, I'll keep government out of this. Government comes as a second option. Because before anything else, the child has to go through the parents and the your stage. You know? So it is the responsibility of the parents. So we are all going back to blame the parents for not mentoring the children, the girl child, in a better way. You know? Like people have different ways of handling their issues. You know? Na pia poverty iko na stage. Sindio? Kuna mtu mwenye kuna TV na kuna fridge anafila kwa sawa, sio? Kuna mtu mwenye
Kuna radio sorry.
na kuna mwenye kuna ile ka Bluetooth radio ile peke yake na life inaendelea. So level of poverty is different. So unapata
So unasema hii yangu ni poverty.
So what I'm trying to say is that unapata in a household, maybe the dad is a drunkard, the mother is also somehow trying to put these guys in line, yes. But the state back in home is not good. It's not well at all. Everybody is striving to get, alafu unapata the same state. Now the dad has gone astray out of it. Like he's not even in the track of manhood ship. He's not there, man. Really, like responsibilities zake aziko. Just yeye anakuja tu kulala. Anaenda kulala alafu anakuja kulala. Mama anasema baki na mtoto. He's trying to figure. Na unajua hakuna duties to carry in the day, si ndio? Aizika anafuata, for instance anafuata Vero sasa ni daughter yake. Anakwambia Vero kuja nikufundishe. Kuja hapa Nyara. Unajua it needs both parents to nurture children, si ndio? Mtu mmoja haizi. Na pia kinaleta hiyo sex for parents. Na pia unapata this family they wanapata for them even to get that unga ya ugali they have to shine on ipande. So unapata in a hard way. And pad is only 50 bob shillings, unaona? And we say that the ladies, most of them when they are having their menstrual, they have challenges like there are those who are in irregular, those are regular. Alafu pia kuna wenye wakienda period, so they have heavy flows na kuna light flows, ndio? Sasa unapata kwa hiyo situation, we will say that maybe mimi mwenyewe hata I have a child and I don't know mtoto wangu kwa period zake like is she falling on regular, irregular na inakanga aje kikuja. You don't know anything about it. So unapata when the child starts going on menstruals, unapata now she's also even scared to share with the parent because the ratio between the parent is minimum, ni kidogo. They don't have a deep connection. Hata even in a situation happens to the child, even hard to confront the parent to explain, it's hard. So if you tend to do something else, not involving the parent, then later on unasikia your child is pregnant because of this and that. What led to that pregnancy? Sindio?
So let's get the last view before moving to the next subtopic.
So thank you so much. So to add on what Opi is saying, like our family, especially in the African setup, traditional, like parents bado watapata ile family education. So it means like parents lazima like waweze kufunzwa hizo maadili, family education so that like wakuwa like after kufunzwa about family education ili waweze kufunza watoto wao. So it means in Africa bado tuko nyuma. Hiyo ndio kitu najaribu kusema.
Not really, but hatuko nyuma unajua there are people who are living on traditional beliefs and there are people who are living on the generation, we are going with the generation, we are on the third generation, sindio? Sasa najua kuna people wenye wana flow na generation inaenda, na kuna watu wenye wanarudi nyuma kwa traditional beliefs, the way we use the practices. So when say you'll find somebody ameng'oa meno za sita za chini because ana follow the traditional nini ilikuwa inafanyika customs ilikuwa inafanyika then. But wewe sasa hivi kwa umeme na kwa sita na you need to eat meat.
Alafu mwambie yeah, maybe also that should, I mean, mtu anaweza argue that Africa is a developing continent.
Yeah.
And so like we are left behind quite a number of issues.
Yeah. That we can solve them out, set an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, very well.
Naona hiyo pia pressure inachangia kwa sex for pads. Kwa sababu maybe wazazi wake hawajiwezi aombe mamake, wana struggle ili wapate chakula. Sasa hiyo ya pads hawawezi pata. Akiomba mamake anamwambia ati hana pesa. Alafu akienda kwa shule akutana na marafiki zake, wanamwambia vitu zenye wanafanya, aone huyu ako na hii hana. So unajua hata vitu zenye hao watu wanamwambia pia ataona ati acha nitafute boyfriend. At least ataenda naye hivyo, anaona ati hakuna kitu yenye itaharibika, alafu anampea do.
Yeah, sure.
I disagree exactly with us saying that it's always about not having the money. To me, it's not about money at all. Because at 100%, when the child is sick, the same parent will take her to the hospital. Yeah. So what comes when the child is sick? You take her to the hospital, you pay for the drugs. When she needs pad, you can't be there, you can't afford that. How can you afford food? So pads should be like essential things like they use. They use soap to go and bathe daily. That parent will make sure that soap is there. So it's not about money. It's that mentality that it's an additional. It hasn't
Additional expense.
Yeah, if it were a must, like to say today in Kenya, if you don't take your child to school, the government will come to you. But we don't go for those parents who don't provide pads for their children. So where are we? Because food they provide, they can take you to school. In school, there are some services you'll need. The parents will pay. Some are skeptical, but they, in the long run, they pay that money. So if you can afford daily food, pads is 100. In fact, in Kenya, just lunch is expensive than pads. So how can you tell us you can afford lunch, yet you can't afford 100 for the pads for just one girl?
But niona kulingana venye mimi nililelewa, utapata lunch hatununui, supper hatununui. Hiyo unapata hata hakuna hiyo pesa ya buy food. At least tunapanda kitu kwa shamba, tunaweza kutoa mboga kwa shamba tunakula hivyo. Kama yeye ndio unaona ana struggle ili apate pesa awalishe, then wewe ndio mwambie tunataka pesa ya pads.
But tunapata kolo.
Poverty inachangia.
So sikatai poverty inachangia. Chenye nataka kuargue, that same parent unaona venye ana struggle. The same parent anafaa jue from day one when unazaliwa, parent anajua huwa akikuwa msick na mpeleka hospitali. Traditionally tulikuwa tunapeleka wanachuna vitu na wanakupea unakunywa. But walielewa lazima upelekwe hosi. So nowadays hata parent mwenye jiwezi completely ata struggle uende hosi. So if we give a lineage tuseme no, it's about poverty, tupe serikali hiyo kazi, government will provide wakiwa shule. When they are on holidays, who provides? At that point, hapo wakiwa holiday, that sex for fish still come in. So if we want to block it, parent anafaa jue responsibility zake ni gani. If afadhali kwa nyumba mzima mkose mafuta ya kujipaka, but parent apate do anunulie earpad, it will be advantageous than tuseme the whole project pateni government itasuluhisha.
Let's hear from Opio and Mario.
Yes. But peer pressure is not. Peer pressure is not. Let me put it clear. Like, okay, what is the duration for a girl to attend? Like, duration, like, negotiate, take care, you see a week, you know. See, it depends.
The maximum days one.
5 weeks.
Seven.
Seven.
Yes, let's say 7 days, and then in a part, let's say like that one your part moja iko na 8 pieces, ndio. So say 7.
No, Mr. 7 days.
7 days. It's 7. Yeah, we need to know when that's not the case. But I'm trying to budget with this on depending on the younger side. How much is around? Something.
Hata kuna zingine za once.
Na hiyo that amount, how many parts can it get? Three, isn't it?
Ni 60?
No, it's 50. It's 50.
Mimi najua tunadepend na type.
Soft care.
Imepanda bei.
Soft care is
Jana
50.
tuliona.
Soft care is 50 or 55.
Soft care is 50, 55.
55.
Aya, that one ile ya pink inakuwa around 45 because you know the
Clean clear.
not clean clear ni hapo.
They take nothing on it.
Haiko, hiyo miti anasema ni hapa.
Ama clean clear ni over.
So I am saying like this. That is not put that we have to work with peer pressure to consider that that's not the thing that the parts are not being produced with the girl child. Haiko, hii tunaweza we can manage by day parts because hii nini si kinafanyika daily. He just wants in a month, sindio? Then kidding you know, I have a daughter who will be at the end of the month, at the first week of the month, and I go through this situation. I have to be ready as a parent, unaona? Hata kama una do, but uko nyuma ulikuwa umesha plan that you've already got a part because somewhere you keep. Just the thing is to kula kuitoa, mwambie nyara, kama kale kwa. Hapana, anaambia footage na najua you have, hauna job hauna anything. Anatafuta, we have yes.
As you see, peer pressure can be a big factor in school because you know there's the office of the peer counselor in school in some female schools when I offer pads. I guess the girls are just afraid to go to those offices because of the way they'll be viewed. But we should make our kids more comfortable to be able to tell the peer counselor, the teacher, our idea pads because there are pads in schools. Some schools, I guess.
Okay, let's move to the next topic of the day. What's the role of men in menstrual hygiene? Do you think like men too have a role to play? Tumekuwa na some situations, let me just state them, where there's some men who have forced their girlfriends into having sex when they're on their periods. I don't know that it's good or not. And then before tufike hapo, Upeo, have you ever bought pads for your girl? Let's say your sister or your girl.
Me, I bought pads many times. That's why I can argue on this big girlfriend.
Robin.
Yeah, to me that's normal.
It's normal. Call it.
Yeah, I am. I'll say I buy every time, but it's not me who feels weird. Sometimes I feel the shopkeeper gives me but feels weird. Giving me the pads. So I just ask for the pads. You see the guy taking the pads, wrapping it on a uruba. So it's kind of weird. It's like you're asking something and it feels dirty already before paying. So I feel kind of it's weird kulizia pads. It's much easier ukienda kwa supermarket you just pick
and
then you pay at the counter. But in the shop ukiulizia unaona hiyo group nzima mko kwa duka na kule. So you are just like, is it weird kubeba pads? And can it weird? What's weird about it? Yeah? Tunabeba tissue is more worse. And tissue unaulizanga tissue unapewa hiyo. Yes. Why is it weird kutisha pads? Mtu anahapa. So me Hapo hivyo niko na
Basi umenunua.
Uko na
But
gazeti.
nimenunua. Guys, another challenge.
Eh,
Wewe unaenda kwa duka, wewe ni mwanaume, then unasikia unajua ati nataka pads. Sasa nikupatie gani? Unajua wewe hujui like which one na girlfriend is using, which one na sister anatumia, because all of them they have complaints. Sasa kwa mimi nikitumianga hii inaniumiza. If I use this one inanifanya na afya because kama inakuanga iko light sana. Si unajua pro like nisaidie tu hii, bora tu ni pad. And then unapata leo you bought the pad unaenda pale kwa nyumba unaambiwa tena again. It is not this one, I used to mingi hii. Unajua unaenda ushaka na like a distance of 1 kilometer mbele unakuja nayo.
ilikuwa sababu.
Confidence.
Okay, Fulani. Nitajibu wa mwisho. I know why, because yangu kuna question mark. So yangu will lead to the next thing.
Kwenda huko sio kama unanunua.
Have you ever bought parts for your girl or your sister?
Yes.
You have.
The last time I bought,
Yes.
nilinunulia girlfriend
Hey.
and
Aneka.
slap the hand. Yeah, and the last time nilinunua always yenye package yake ni, is it purple? Yes. Yeah. Purple na bei yake ilikuwa around 80 bob. Ultra thin. Okay. Yeah.
So, okay. Tumeconfirm.
No.
Yes, that's where I am. When umeongea umesema wamenunua. Ndio tuko sure Nicole amesema ashatii.
Nilitumwa nikapeleka.
Mimi ni mwenye nunua pads for my sister but not for my girl. Kuna one time nilijaribu, but this is what happened. Nilikuwa nimenunua pads nikamwekea kwa nyumba. Then the day alikuwa amekuja kunitembelea, sisi kwa alikuja kunitembelea. alipata kuna pads. Okay, mimi kwangu pads ilikuwa yake. But when aliingia akaona tu ndio hii pads na umeweka juu ya meza. Nani amekuwa akiitumia?
That's
the first thing aliingia tu akaona. So yote amekumwambia ili nilikuwa nimekubaia haikuwa. Yes? Hapana, ilikuwa. Like ilikuwa.
Mwambie nyumba ya husband.
Ilikuwa before nikamweka jakuda at least akwe surprise aone ajue nimembaia basi. The reaction yake ilikuwa like jaribu kumwambia I bought this one for anasema bana hii kuna mtu alikuja hapa ameacha, so you get those the venye alichukulia ni kama kuna mtu anaitumia, so you get
Ungemwambia
kwa text aje. So maybe in fact your pants, yeah? Nilikuwa nimeiangalia
Bana sokoni bwana.
Nilikuwa naiangalia tu. Watu venye nikasema tu, hey, hapa sitawahi nunua tena. So kwa hiyo situation, hata kama ni wewe, mimi najua a lot of things zilifanyika. Nilichoma aje.
One thing you should know from the side, you are living in a square room. So you are living in a square room. Kumanya, you can see your mwandu zote, you can see everything. Sasa umenunua pale, ukafanya mistake, ukaenda
Kufungua ilikuwa ile kushika yani venye nilikuwa nimetoa kwa bag. Nilitoa kwa bag nika so kuna tu let me say like
Ama nifanyile.
ilikuwa ifinyika, you get it. kitu kama hii.
Kwani
Ilikuwa kwa bag.
What is stuffing? Yeah, my friend.
Ilikuwa nimewekwa bag kama ilikuwa na video. So kwa hiyo process kuna side yake moja ikawa basi haikupasuka,
Ilimtu kidogo.
ilifanya hivi. So mimi nikachukua nikaweka tu venye aliangalia kaona hii kitu ni kama imetumika. Hapo ulipatia time to explain. Hapo hivi mimi nikasema kama ni hivi achikaya.
Mbona aliyesabu ndani? Singesabu.
Venye aliingia hata hajagusa ameangalia.
Kwenye huku explain alitoka tu akaenda.
Nilijaribu kunegotiate. Haikufunguliwa. Hujasikia
Ilikuwa
kitu
hivi.
Kama kidogo.
So
Hata hiyo vimeenda.
Tyson, unajua nini?
yeah.
Hii pale kuna behavior switch. Not your sister.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Like una surprise. Like
Unafanya hapo venye ilikuwa hivyo.
Unajua Tyson,
Ngoja kwanza nijibu. See,
unaificha somewhere akishakaa chini awe relax au yeke tu hapo juu ya
the main discussion is making this thing a normal fact.
It
of
is
life.
normal.
So, it is
Yeah,
normal.
it's normal.
Why is it the
But the
surprise?
same way I don't want your socks on top of the table nikiingia. It's the same way sipati panty yako kwa meza, nisipate panty kwa meza. It's a normal fact.
Hata
but
hivyo
it's the same way sio.
haikuwa hata
Martin, angalia.
Sitaki kupata hiyo. Si au ungependa nikikuja kwa nyumba nipate panty juu
So,
ya panty
no.
yako.
So,
Sio.
so naongelea parts, naongelea parts.
Now
Sharon.
it's
Yes.
Sasa hii niseme tunaleta na wewe example. Tunaleta na wewe si ndio? And then kuje kwangu niseme for example. Alafu upate kama kuna CD juu ya meno. Hautateta?
na ilikuwa ni
Tyson.
Nipate CD ya.
Acha nisaidie Tyson.
Ngoja nisaidie.
pia mimi ni imagine.
Nipate CD ya meza.
Nisidia mela ama.
Okay, najua.
Sijadamu na maana.
Nitareact kwa sababu unajua, like if you look at the society today, okay, venye imekuanga wanaume ndio huwa kwa charge. Hiyo ni basi. Kama nikuja na CD, so nikikupata nayo itakuwa so strange. So itakuwa so strange though takupea time to explain. Mbona umeweka hiyo meza? Yeah, nitakuuliza nisikie side of the story. You are preparing. Kama ni is okay.
No,
then-
wait. I bought the CD for us.
Yeah.
So ile harakati ya kutengeneza nyumba ikiwa safi and all that, nikasahau hiyo CD hapo. Si like ile intention, nikasahau tu by mistake. Alafu wewe uingie uipate hapo.
See, that's okay.
No, unajua
You didn't know? I didn't
Si nimesema nitakuuliza. Nitauliza nijue mbona iko hapo. Umesema you will
Sasa.
explain.
But you said
Utauliza ni nani?
Unauliza ni nani?
Mwanzo mmoja itakuwa so strange.
It's the same thing. That is the same reaction.
Aliyovalia.
Tyson.
People react
Ona.
differently.
Hadi kuuliza swali.
Mm.
Unauliza Tyson swali. Acha sasa nikuulize. Sasa Tyson,
Okay.
basi Tyson ni chati yako. Wewe ulienda kwa duka. You knew that Tyson is coming tonight. You early preparations. Unajua pap na kabeti. Sasa ndio hiyo umekuja, umeshaenda kwa duka, you bought a CD moja ama tu pairs, ndio. Sasa unakaa, mimi hakujua tonight is the game. Amekaa kwa nyumba. You guys have had a nice hapa nini mka discussion. Alafu all of a sudden ukienda hivi kwa choo, maybe you have a toilet nje. Sasa umeenda kwa choo, sasa nakaa kama cross kwa fulani. Sasa mmoja atakuwa na sasa. Unaona? Ajui anything that okay, najua hii ni nyumba yako. Kuna CD. It's a male condom. Ayuka wewe hajakuja nayo. Wanataka tasha react pale.
Okay, imagine with sahizi, like CD is it's very common. Si kama pads.
It's normal.
It's not
It's normal. Haifai tembee tu kwa
Yeah.
Ama ni
Amesema nimeenda ndu. Naangalia vitu kama hizo.
Inamaanisha iko inatembea. It was somewhere.
I was just somewhere waiting for the right time. I basically placed just like unaona. But siku hizi CD, even ladies do buy CD.
Yeah, it's a common.
No, I'm talking about a male condom. It's not a female condom. A male condom na kuna box mzima. Mzima kwani tasa natumia box mzima mtu mmoja.
But just is that a problem?
Sasa
Even ladies are advised to carry CDs. And in fact, we are given for free.
Carry when anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Anywhere right now.
Okay.
Sasa ndio inafanyika. CDs. Unafaa kukua. Na kuna sehemu zingine kama sasa hizo umeenda kanisa. Hata naambia niwe ndio yaka kwenda minamba. Unatoa Biblia, alafu leo sasa inaanguka hapo kwa floor. We do feel okay ukuta flash kwa bag na kutoa hata maiona.
I will feel very
I feel okay because they were personal items and just fell by mistake.
No,
So it's a church, and they know normally people do that. In fact, even if I am having my husband, I should be having CDs for my own protection. So even if I place them inside my bag and they fell by mistake, it's something normal to carry.
Okay.
What?
So let's get back to the
If you're
topic.
having a husband,
No, the topic is about part. The men shared their stories. The can is here from the women,
ladies.
from the ladies. Sharon, tell this man, tell us, what do you expect from your man during your periods? Tell us, you don't.
Ngumu mpaka mimi. Anyway, what I expect when I'm on my period, from my man.
Yeah.
Peace of mind.
No. Oh, peace of mind, you is one. But again, according to me, mimi nikiwa periods, if I'm having hizo cramps, what helps me most in chocolate.
Chocolate.
So I mostly eat chocolate during my period. Lakini sijasema tulikula chocolate as sorry?
Ile chocolate unakula mpaka period ziishe man.
Every day.
Si wananunua
Grams gani?
ile kubwa tu moja hiyo.
So where with chocolate,
Yes.
Marion?
mbona unaangaliaje huyu? Unataka kumnunulia chocolate?
Chocolate man.